If you own a home in Wylie, Sachse, Murphy, or anywhere in Collin County, you're going to want to watch this video where I walk you through the entire selling strategy, selling process that's going to save you time, money, and most of all, any type of headaches. My name is Soto with STASH Realty Group, and I'm a real estate agent here in Wylie, Texas, and we've helped numerous of homeowners sell their property for top dollar in different climates of the market, right? Because every market is different. And first, what we're going to touch base is, why do people want to move to Wylie, right? Whether you're in Wylie, Lavon, Sachse, or anywhere in Collin County, what we're able to do is really find out, because this is part of our marketing strategy, is why do people want to live here, right? Because if people don't want to move here and it's not a very fast moving neighborhood, then it's going to be a little bit more tougher to sell your home. But here in Wylie, for example, people want to move here for schools, sometimes the bigger lots on some of these more established neighborhoods. A commute, you have Highway 78, Highway 544, quick access to George Bush. So when you need to go down to Plano or even downtown Dallas for work, it's not a very big commute, right? It's an easy access to get there. And you do have some tolls, but nowadays everybody has tolls, right? So that's really the first thing we got to do. So is we got to find out why people want to move to not only your neighborhood, but your city. What do they offer? Here in Wylie, it's like a small town feel. You can ask anybody that lives here, you're going to get that same answer thousands of times because we truly feel like a small town. You can go to the grocery store, people know who you are, and just different aspects to that reason. So find out why people are moving to your neighborhood or your city first. Then what we got to do is we got to get a realistic home valuation. And I'm going to input that really much is realistic, right? Now, I understand you've been in your home 20 years. There's a lot of emotions. Kids grew up there. So the emotional value of your home is very high, but that's not what it's going to entail when we get ready to hit the market. So we got to come up with a realistic home valuation. Now, this is where we go in and we offer what's called a comparative market analysis, or referred to as a CMA, right? And this is where we dive in and see what homes have actually sold for that are similar to yours. Now, a lot of homeowners, maybe even some average agents, they go to Zillow, but we are in a non-disclosure state, meaning they can't actually publish online what homes actually sold for, and you won't even see maybe if the seller offers some concessions, because you have to take that into consideration as well. Did a seller offer $10,000 credit for repairs or closing costs? Well, that's going to come off your bottom line, and Zillow isn't going to tell you that information. So what we do is we dive into what we call the MLS, right? This is where agents go and put in all the information, because by law we have to, if it's listed on the market. And so we find out what homes have actually sold for, and are there any seller's concessions. But we look at the size of your home, how many beds and baths compared to yours, the neighborhood. We go back maybe 90 days. And if we're not seeing a lot of comparables to use, then we'll start changing the parameters, right? This is why it's important when we have our first conversations and we run these numbers is, what updates have you done to the home? Because we got to take those into consideration as we look through pictures of these other homes that have sold to compare it to yours. And that's where we come up with a realistic home valuation. Now, there's going to be a lot of average agents sometimes that tell you what to price your home for. But here at STASH Realty, we're going to give you a range, because we know that a lot of times, just because you have a starting price that you list your property for doesn't mean you're guaranteed that price. So we want to give you a wide range and let you pick it out, because it's your home. It's not ours. We're going to give you our professional opinion, but it's ultimately your decision on what to list and sell your house for. And when we do these CMAs, we're able to also put estimated net sheet together, depending if you have a loan balance on it, and put all the numbers so you can actually see what you're going to net and walk away with. And we do this in different increments, so then that way maybe what your bottom line is. So for instance, if you're selling your home for $400,000, we'll do maybe a estimated net sheet at maybe 410, 400, and then maybe even 390, just so you can see what those numbers look like. And then that way, if you have a drop dead bottom line that you would sell your home for, you know what that is. Just in case we come across that offer, then it's a better decision for you to know what those numbers look like beforehand. Because if you're not realistic with where you want to sell your house, then putting it on the market a lot of times, and just to be transparent up front, because that's what I tell my clients, is you're wasting time. You're wasting time, money, energy, not only on your part, but also the agent's part and other buyers who may come and fall in love with your home and they want to offer X amount and whatnot. So we'll get into that later on into this video. But that first step, like I mentioned, is why are people moving to your neighborhood? Then we have to get a realistic home valuation. Okay. Next is preparing your house for the market. There's a lot of things that you could do to your property to prepare, but here are some first things, right? Fresh paint goes a long way, right? We even had a listing here in Wylie where it was a little outdated. The paint was outdated, and after it was on the market for 90 days, we were able to convince our sellers to say, hey, this is what the feedback is, and it's paint, paint, paint. Let's hire a painter, come in, give it a fresh coat. After we did some of those changes, we relisted the house and it sold in one day. We had a full price over asking offer the next following day after re-entering the market after a fresh paint. So fresh paint goes a long ways. Second, curb appeal. What do buyers and the potential new homeowner, what does it mean when they walk up to a curb appeal? Is it nice? Is it trashy, right? First impression isn't a lasting impression. It's the only impression, because if they walk to a house and pull up and it's not what they deemed, they're going to envision that there's too much work to do to it. And so they may even just drive off and not even go inside of the house. So what is a curb appeal? Trim your bushes, pick out the weeds, maybe some fresh mulch, clean out the driveway, maybe even power wash it. That's just a weekend chore, right? Get your honey-do list out and tackle those before we go to the market. It's not cost, heavy. It's cost efficient, right? It's going to take some blood, sweat, and maybe some tears to do it, and maybe just the weekend. But that curb appeal is going to go a very long way. And so, third, you want to declutter and depersonalize. What we do is we send you a checklist of, some tips of how to declutter and depersonalize, because when buyers walk into the house, we want them to envision their family. There is some psychological, to it, where if they see your family pictures on the wall and, look at the kiddos and look how they've grown up, they may actually psych themselves out to say, we don't want to take this home away from them, even though it's on the market, right? And so a lot of times we ask you to take those personal photos off, but as well, if you use a large nail in the wall when you're removing those pictures, we're going to have to fill those holes, and I'll give you tips in person on how to do that. That's cost effective. But yes, declutter, depersonalize. And one thing that we do different here at STASH Realty Group versus the average agent that you may be interviewing is, once you sign our listing agreement and agree to hire us, we give you a moving package, so that way you can start preparing to declutter, right? We want to take that stress off of your plate, or having to go to Home Depot and buy tons of boxes and tape and markers. We actually give you a moving package to get you started. And then that way it helps to start the process. So after decluttering and depersonalizing, really, you got to fix the obvious. Is there a leaky faucet? Is there a running toilet? Yes, you have to do those. Those small minor repairs go a long way, because you want to fix that type of stuff before the buyer's inspector gets it. Because if they have a inspection, because I've had some inspection reports that are 200 pictures and 60 pages long, it's going to scare the buyer away. They're going to think it's too many little things that add up big, and they're not even going to want to proceed, and they're going to terminate, and then we have to go back to the market. So fix the obvious, right? We have a ton of partners at a part of our STASH network that we can give to you, that they offer some discounts as well, that they need to, if you need to fix some of those small things. But yes, the dripping faucet, running toilet, broken outlet covers, those 69-cent covers are maybe 99 cents now with inflation. Maybe a door doesn't close right. Maybe you want to get that adjusted. And so fix those small little tedious things. Now, here's the things that you need to skip. A lot of sellers, a lot of homeowners think they need to make massive renovations to sell their home. The honest truth that most agents won't tell you is, guess what? It's already a little too late. You want to renovate the home, enjoy it over the years that you've done it, and then yes, it's updated to that's going to help you sell the property in the long run. But if you try to renovate your kitchen right now and it's going to cost you $60,000, you don't automatically get to add $60,000 to the valuation that we gave you, thinking you're going to get every single dollar back. Sorry to break your heart, but that doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. So a lot of times having us come into the house, walk the house with you. We're going to point out, you need to fix this, maybe address this. Nope, don't do that, because you're not going to get your return on investment for that. So, think about full kitchen or bathroom remodels, maybe even flooring throughout. We're going to walk the property and tell you, yes, this is going to make a big difference. And yes, look at all these scratches on the floor, or, obviously you have kids or pets and, the carpet is worn out. Yes, get those things done beforehand, because that's going to go a long way to a buyer, knowing they don't have to do that kind of thing. But we don't want to, unfortunately add a pool. You're not going to go spend $200,000 on a pool that you're now not going to enjoy, thinking it's going to help you sell your house. Let the buyers do that, right? And so when in doubt, you want to ask us, because you don't want to waste a ton of money and whatnot. Now, next step is pricing strategy. And this is where I tell you, you got to take the emotional value of this property, because it's now a business decision. You're moving for certain reasons, whether it's to get closer to the grandkids, whether it's relocating closer to the job, or maybe you want to get into a better school district. You have to now take those emotions out, and it's now a business decision when you sell this house, right? And so a lot of homeowners, they want aspirational pricing, is what we call it. And it's because they saw COVID prices and what happened during COVID, where prices jumped 50% almost, and buyers were paying $100,000 over asking price. And that was because money was cheap. When rates are 2 and 3, that we're probably never going to see again in my lifetime, that's what happened. And now we're seeing the small decline, but it's really where the market should be. It's not the market's falling and home prices are coming down. They're getting back to realistic pricing, like we talked about earlier on in the video, right? So the pricing strategy, you don't want aspirational pricing. Sometimes what we can do is we go where the market is. I give you that valuation and we go within that range, and we're going to do a good job of getting that for you. Now, there's also another strategy where potentially, maybe if homes are selling in your neighborhood for over asking, or there's maybe less inventory in your neighborhood, and everybody wants to be in there, maybe we try this strategy where we list it a little bit lower than the market, because what we want to do is bring a ton of buyers, a ton of eyes on this property to potentially get you into a multiple offer situation. Because we know that in all multiple offer situations, what's going to happen? It's going to drive that price. So it may even go over the starting price or list price that we were originally going to go for. So pricing strategy is everything. And so what you don't want is to hire an average agent that's just going to pinpoint and tell you need to list your property for this, because what's going to happen? They list it for that, and in 60 days it doesn't sell. You're going to fire them, and then you're going to call me anyways and hire me to do it the first time. Okay. So next, marketing your property, right? A lot of average agents out there, this is what they do. They put it on the MLS. They put a sign in the yard, and then they say a prayer that it's going to sell. Now, we're going to do those things as well, but we're going to take it another step, right? We're going to maybe do a potential open house the first weekend, if the weather permitting is great. Now, here's my honest opinion. I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm very honest. Open houses, I think the National Association of Realtors, when they do their studies, only maybe 1% of homes sell on an open house. Open houses are, I'm going to be a little bit selfish here, is for the agents, because we want your neighbors to come over and visit and say, oh, look at everything that this agent's doing. Let me hire them. This is what agents don't tell you, but it's the honest truth. And that's why you're going to want to hire somebody who's truthful, honest, and transparent, right? So open houses, yes, we still do those. Now, we don't do them all the time, but I'll share a story with you though. I did have a homeowner recently in Plano, Texas, where they were going to sell to an investor. And I said, look, don't do that. They were the parents of one of my clients, and they referred them to me. And I said, look, don't do that. Here's what I'm going to do for you. They didn't want the stress of everyday showings, people coming in all the time. So what we did is we actually held open houses for them every single weekend and told buyers that's the only window that they have to come take a look at that house. So if you have that type of stress, this is where we customize it for you, right? We're not a traditional agent that says this is the only way we do it. No, we listen to your needs, your wants, and we customize this strategy for you and what it's going to take to get to your home to sell. Now, it may take longer to sell it that way, right? Because it's only maybe 1 or 2 days on the weekends where buyers can come. And if we have crazy weather like we do sometimes here in North Texas, then it's going to prolong the process. But they were okay waiting. They weren't in a rush to get down to the grandkids. But essentially we got that home sold within 45 days, which isn't too long in this market, and they were happy as can be, right? So yes, sometimes those strategies don't get you the top dollar, doesn't get you a lot of eyeballs on it, but we'll customize it to your liking and to your needs. And so, you know, a lot of times when it comes to pricing, those are the type of strategies we're doing. That's the marketing we're doing. We're doing social media. It's on every platform out there. I share marketing materials with you, because if you can share it and you're okay with it, it's going to get a bunch more eyeballs, right? Because we all have our social media presence, which we do a pretty good job. You can go online and follow us. You know, we put it on Google, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, where you're watching this video right now. We're getting tons of eyes. It's going to hit every single website out there because we have MLS access. It's going to hit the Zillows and the realtor.coms and the homes.com. Your home is going to be everywhere online. Okay, we'll run ads behind it. Sometimes we'll do the traditional things where we mail out postcards and, you know, maybe take an ad here and there for you. So every marketing plan is different. Every marketing plan is strategy, because like I mentioned, it's what do you need? What are you wanting? And so we do it all. Okay. Then a lot of times after the marketing step, when we're talking about that, is, you know, we hit the market, we go live, we use professional photographers. We don't use our cell phones. Now, I'm sure you've seen some funny things online on Zillow and homes.com when you're looking at properties and you see the reflection of somebody in the bathroom mirror or the outside of their garage. And that's because they had somebody, or an average agent maybe, just take a picture with their cell phone. And like I mentioned, almost 90%, if not more, of people start their search online. So if we don't have great pictures taken by a professional photographer, they may just bypass that and not even want to come, right? We have to present it online strategically to get them off the couch to come in and set an appointment to tour your home in person and then fall in love with it. Okay. So a lot of those are services that we include into it. Okay. So we're hiring professional photographer. If we need to stage the property, that's a conversation we'll have, where we have staging partners that will come and give you a quote on what it's going to do. Now, there are stats that show that homes that maybe you've moved out of it already, that homes are staged, do sell quicker and sometimes higher than not. Now, maybe staging is a little bit too much for you, right? This is where we're going to talk about it. But maybe we do virtual staging. Now, it's not as good as getting them to come in person and look at it, but it's another option that we offer, right, is virtual staging. But we have a stager that comes included with our services. They'll come and give you that quote, or maybe they're going to just utilize your furniture that you have, and we just need to position it to maybe better showcase that room in the house. And so that consultation, we include that. We'll have the stager and the designer come over and do all these things and give you the checklist of just moving the furniture and taking this down and moving this here and there. And so a lot of times that comes part of the marketing package that we offer too. And so once we go live on the MLS, we'll get with you and see when do showings need to happen, right? Because you may not want people during the day now, or you're only available, maybe you have pets at home that you need to lock up and put up. So you need maybe an hour or 2 hour notice. We customize the showings for you. Now, one thing that I tell every single homeowner is the more you decline a showing, the less potential that it would sell. Because if sometimes buyers, what do we want? What has Amazon taught us is we want things now. We want to get in the doors now and on our schedule. So if you decline a showing, and they just may say, great, let's just move on. We're not even coming back. And so if you can make it available as much as you can, then do that, right? We can put up signs to not let the cat out, or maybe, but if you need maybe a day notice, great, we'll do that. But the more eyes that we can get, because buyers have that buying, sense of, I want to get in now, I want to see it now, is we need to make it available. Now, people aren't going to just come knock on the door and say, I'm here to see the house. They have to use a third-party company that we're registered with to schedule it, and you have to approve it and or decline it, okay? We also take safety measures, and we put what we call a super box. It's an electronic box that only licensed agents, inspectors, and appraisers, and maybe some photographers and partners that are licensed and registered with our associations that have access to that. So we don't use the old school master locks, that combinations that you go get from Home Depot, because in our opinion, those are more easier to break into, right? The super blue boxes that are about that big that we put on the doors, those, like I said, only licensed professionals have access to it. And so they're a lot harder to break into as well. So if you're thinking, oh my God, people are going to do that. And let's just be honest, right? Every industry, every type of, job has good people, have people who don't do a good job. And it's been known where people who use combination log boxes, they may just be lazy and give that combination to their client to go. Now, they're not supposed to, but has it happened? Of course it has. I've seen it happen. When I'm coming out of a listing and I'm putting it back, and then I'm like, hey, are you the agent? They're like, oh, no, I'm the buyer. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Well, that's why we don't use a lot of those combination lock boxes, because we don't want agents to just pass that code to their clients and their clients can go and do it. And now your home is exposed and isn't safe. Okay. Then after we hit the MLS, offers start pouring in, we're going to review the offers with you, right? We're going to put it together, if we have multiple offers, into a spreadsheet. We're going to go over all the key points of the contract, and that's a totally different video, because we're going to break it down later on. But we'll go over every single offer. We'll do net sheets, estimated net sheets on what every offer is. You know, who's putting more earnest money, who has less option days, who's putting a better down payment. What does the financing look like? Is it an all cash offer? Is it an FHA offer, a conventional, a VA? There's different scenarios for each type of loan and financing type that we're going to discuss with you, the pros and the cons and things like that. Now, I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of agents that frown upon FHA or VA, and honestly, they're one of the best type of financing that it is for buyers. And so when you have a professional like ourselves and our team that knows the ins and outs of these products and these loan financing types, we're able to ease your stress of knowing, is this going to fall apart or not? Now, we can't predict the future. We don't have a crystal ball, but we cross all of our T's and dot of our I's to ensure that, it is a strong offer for you to accept. But ultimately, it's your decision. Now, a lot of times sellers have different things. They may want top price. They may want the convenience of, maybe they need the equity from, you need the equity from your home and to close on your next home. So you need some time afterwards. We just closed one here in Wylie where we got our sellers 30-day lease back at minimal. I mean, I think it was like $60 a day, which is nothing, right? For you to have to not move twice, where they stayed in the home up to 30 days after closing because they needed those funds to close on their new construction home, right? So maybe that's part of what makes a strong offer that's going to be more appealing to you. So yes, the price will get the offers noticed. And this is what I tell my buyers as well but the terms, the timing, and the convenience of the offer may be more appealing to you and what fits your needs and what you need, right? And so once we get past the option period, right, we got to walk you through the inspections, right? Because although you're not hiring an inspector, this is where we go back to preparing for the market. If we were able to take out and fix a lot of things that, maybe a buyer would have found or the inspector would have found, then there's less negotiation or less termination as well to have to go back on the market. And so yes, the inspector is going to come in that the buyer has hired, and they may or may not come back. But you need a strong agent who can navigate and say, stop worrying about these, scratches on the wall. Those are cosmetic. A scratch on the wall isn't a $10,000 seller concession or a seller credit, right? And so you need somebody who can navigate those things, or even have partners that can give us quotes on what that stuff costs. So then that way we are educated on what it is, and we're not being taken advantage of a buyer or a buyer's agent thinking they need a $50,000 discount when it's only going to cost $5,000 to repair, right? And so we walk you through all those things. Then obviously the appraisers, right? We have to be prepared for the appraiser that the mortgage company of the buyer is going to hire if they get one. And so then that's another milestone that we have to be prepared for to negotiate or not negotiate and get you through it. Now, later on, I'm going to tell you why, yes, you can sell your home. I'll just tell you now, you can sell your home by yourself, but are you so far with me, and are you able to do all these steps, negotiate not only with the buyer, the buyer's agent, the inspector, the appraiser, and get it to the closing table, right? So you have to be educated enough to do it, and you may want to go that route and sell it on your house, and kudos to you. But this is why a lot of times agents are worth every penny that, they charge. And so that's another conversation that we have in person on what compensation is. So, but let's just get back to, right? So after the appraisal, after we have to make sure that, it appraises, or if it doesn't appraise, we still get to the closing table. then we just get to the closing table. Then it's just waiting for everything to go smooth. And right, we're always in communication. You get weekly communication, sometimes twice a week, on every single milestone of where we're at in the process, what the buyer's looking like, is their financing strong, is it gonna happen? And so we want to get to the closing table. Now, the buyer is going to come through, and I'll just tell you right now, they're going to do a final walkthrough. That means they're going to come get another pair of eyes before they go to the closing table, because the house has to be in the same or better condition from when we went under contract. Now, where do we live? We live in North Texas. And what has happened over the past, who knows what, 20 years? What do we get every spring, or even sometimes crazy weather in the fall is we have hail. We have high, strong winds, and sometimes. So yes, I'm going to let you know right now, if you have a hailstorm and it damages your roof and it wasn't damaged when we went under contract with the buyer, we have to do the right thing. You have to file an insurance claim and get that roof replaced, or you're never going to be able to sell this home, right? So just take that into consideration as well. But we're going to be there walking you through to ensure that roof gets on and still hit the closing timeline. You don't want to extend, because if we have to extend the closing, it's more options for a buyer to either back out or for deals to fall through. And so we want to limit that, get it done right away with some of our partners who can get out there and get it replaced or whatnot. And so we're always there, like I mentioned, to walk you through this process. And so really, that's pretty much the entire, strategy that we do for our sellers. And so if you're thinking about maybe selling your home here in Wylie, Sachse, Lavon, Murphy, or Collin County, and you want to start off with a comparative market analysis to, one, know what your home is going to be selling for and what you're going to net possibly to use on your next journey, on your next home, or whatever it is, then let me know. I'm happy to put those together for you at no obligation. And then maybe another step that an agent didn't, if you do have to move to another house, is, are you going to be pre-approved for the next house? Because I tell my clients all the time, if you want to sell, you want to get over here, you want the bigger house, or you want to downsize, but with where rates are, if you can't get pre-approved for what you want, does it make sense to really sell your house? And this is where I tell my clients, like, we don't pressure you, right? I'm not here hard closing you with some paper signed right now before I walk out of the house, because we got to ensure that every single step lines up for you, not for me, for you. And so we have to talk with the mortgage lender to ensure that you are pre-approved for what your next journey is going to look like. Because like I mentioned earlier, if not, then maybe it doesn't make sense to sell right now. Maybe we have to wait another year. We get that buying strategy and plan to get you where you want to go. Then we hit the market for your home. And sometimes I have clients who bought a home 5 years ago, maybe even new construction, where it hasn't appreciated, and we're still able to strategize and sell that home because they have to relocate to their job. Now, a lot of times on new construction homes, yes, it's going to take longer for you to gain equity, but there's still ways we can still sell your house and not have to be upside down, right? A lot of times, let's say you don't have the equity to sell your home, then we're just going to advise you to, guess what? Just wait it out. Wait until the market hits where you need to be to get out to go where you want to go. Okay. And so if you want that comparative market analysis, just reach out. There's a link in the description where you can get it from. 972-217-4948 is our phone number. You can go to our website, STASH Realty. I am an open book. I'm on every single social media outlet, Mustache Realtor DFW. Hello. Just reach out. Happy to do those at no obligation to you. And if you want to see how we truly break down a CMA, right, that comparative market analysis, be sure to watch the next video that comes up. Till next time, see you later.